And one of them said, aha, it says, kiss the Son in Psalm 2:12. And who does that mean? It can only mean Jesus. So I asked them, I don't remember the exact words, we're going back quite a number of years ago. I asked them, did you ever read it in the original?
I see the Son in the Old Testament, and so did the early church writers called the apostles. We see him in Psalm 2, kiss the Son. We see him in Psalm 2, kiss the Son.
The Jews don't believe in the Son of God. You know that? They don't. You have to go and study Judaism.
They do.
You have to go and study Judaism.
This is the Old Testament. It says, serve the Lord with fear and rejoice. Serve the Lord with...
I can't hear so many discussions here.
Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, which is the Son of God.
What is the Son of God?
Kiss the Son.
No, where is the Son of God?
So where son means...
Son doesn't mean Son of God, does it?
It does.
Adam is called the Son of God?
No,
Adam is called the Son of God. Are you aware of that?
It says kiss the Son, meaning kiss the Son of...
Are you aware that Adam was called the Son of God? Are you aware of that?
Adam, but he was not God. This is kiss.
Okay. So Son of God doesn't mean God. Good. Carry on.
But here it means God, because kiss, serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son lest he be angry. That's the Son of God.
Son of God doesn't mean God. You just admitted it.
Son means over here. Son means God.
Where does this Son means God? You're just making up as you go along, man. Honestly.
And it says.
Al tivtuchu b'nedivim b'ven adom she'ein lo teshua. Put not your trust in princes or in the Son of Man, where there is no salvation. When we get to Psalm 2, so in Psalm 2, King David is inaugurated as the king. Very famously, King David in chapter 2, verse 7, God says to him, you are my son, right? And on this day I have begotten you. On this day. And there it's Beni, which means my son. And this text, incidentally, this quote, is going to be the quote used in the baptism scene in the book of Mark. You are my son. Matthew will change it to this is my son, because Matthew is going to have Jesus become Son of God at his birth, because he's born of a virgin. So it's speaking to everyone else. So we know if King David wants to say son, he's using ben, he's using son. Most people would find very intriguing is that when we get to the last verse of Psalm 2:12, if you look at a Christian Bible, it says, kiss the Son, lest he be angry, right? Kiss the Son, lest he be angry. And so you go, what? Kiss the Son? Christians frequently, in fact, on my audio program, I have questions and answers after the lecture. Now, on the second audio program, it was recorded in San Antonio, Texas. After the lecture, there might have been 1,000 people at that lecture. I'll never forget showing up in San Antonio at the Jewish Community Center, and when they brought me to speak, the whole parking lot was packed. I thought there must have been a wedding or bar mitzvah going on. Little I know, the whole place was, you couldn't even sit down. And I gave the lecture, How the Missionaries Paint Jesus into the Jewish Scriptures, which is a chapter in volume 1 of my book. And after the lecture, so I took questions from the audience, and there was a great deal of Christians there. And one of them said, aha, it says, kiss the Son in Psalm 2:12. And who does that mean? It can only mean Jesus. So I asked them, I don't remember the exact words, we're going back quite a number of years ago. I asked them, did you ever read it in the original? And you could see that, you could see him like becoming uncomfortable, and sort of the wind knocked out of him as soon as I asked him that question. I said, it's very obvious that you never looked inside the original, because in the original text it doesn't say kiss the Son at all. The text that's used there is nashku bar. Now, this is a little tricky. Bar doesn't mean son in Hebrew. Bar means purity in Hebrew. Just like in Psalm 18, verse 20, or 21, depending if you have a Christian or Jewish Bible. So it says, according to the cleanliness of my hands. Same thing in 18, verse 24, or 25. Same thing in Psalm 19, verse 9. Openly says there that the commandment of the Lord is bara, it's pure. It lines the eyes. The whole book of Psalms, the book of Psalms is written in Hebrew. And therefore, bar means purity, like in the opening passage of Psalm 73. Here's the rub, okay? The rub is that in Hebrew, bar means purity. That's what it means, okay? The word nashku, what does neshek mean? So neshek, what nashku is a command. Neshek is a homonym in Hebrew. There's actually two different meanings. Same word, it means two different things. So neshek can mean a kiss, but it also can mean a weapon, like in Job 20, I mean, all over the place. In fact, in Israel, if you go to a place, let's say you're going to the Western Wall, and the guard will ask you, Yesh lecha neshek? He's not asking you for a kiss. If he asks you for neshek, don't go kiss the security guard. You're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble. He's asking you, do you have a weapon with you? So neshek has two meanings in Scripture. It means kiss, and it means to arm, and therefore a weapon, all over the Bible, okay? So we have, there's the homonym, but I'm going to set that aside for a moment. So in Aramaic, the word bar means son. So what the Christian Bibles did was they translated nashku bar, which really means arm yourself with purity, and we see the word bar is used everywhere in the book of Psalms as purity. There is no Aramaic in the book of Psalms, so everybody stop it. There is none. And not only that, the author, King David, has already told us just 5 verses earlier, that if he wants to say son, he's going to say ben. In that case, it's bini, meaning my son. So that means we have already been informed just 5 passages earlier than this very intriguing passage, that it's not really intriguing, it follows through beautifully. But in the passage that Christians say, this proves that Jesus is the Messiah, get baptized, jump into a church, and be, who knows what. So there is no Aramaic in the book of Psalms. It doesn't exist. There is Aramaic in other parts of the Bible. In some parts of the Bible, there's very little Aramaic. And in some parts of the Bible, like in the book of Daniel, from early in chapter 2 all the way to the end of chapter 7, that's completely in Aramaic. So there you'd find bar meaning son in chapter 5. There you'll find bar son, but there's no Aramaic here. This is all in Hebrew, and therefore it's nonsense. One other part, okay? We're just going to play the game what if. So nashku bar means arm yourself with purity, and if you don't live your life in purity, I mean, look, not contrast, but look at the chapter before it. Don't sit around with people who are speaking idly. Don't this. Stay away from wicked people and so on. Moshev leitzim lo yovai. Don't be around scoffers. But it's all delicious. Nashku bar. Arm yourself with purity. Now, first I'll tell you how missionaries frequently respond to this. So they'll say, yeah, Rabbi Singer, he's the biggest liar that ever walked on 2 feet, and he's a complete liar. Why? So they'll say, I'll show you why. Because we have the word bar, not in Psalms, but in Proverbs 31, verse 2, and there it means son. There it means son, and all the translations say it means son. It says, what is it, my son? The son of my womb. So they'll say, aha, Tovi, Singer, this rabbi, he's a faker, a fraud, and a phony. We have Proverbs, and in Proverbs we see there the word ma bri uma bar bitni. So here we have, in Proverbs 31, we have bar, and it means son, and everybody translated as son. Of course it's talking about a son. That proves that bar means son, or can mean son, or whatever means son. This, if you never heard this argument used, then you've been, you just spent the last 40 years in Bermuda and never, you've been in Saudi Arabia for 40 years, you never met a Christian. So this is, of course, abject nonsense, because what comes into view in Proverbs 31? First of all, what is Proverbs 31? It's so famous. Proverbs 31 is the famous Eshes Chayomimsa, where do you find a woman of valor, a great woman? What's going on there? Actually, those words, which we are very famous, the women of valor, is a response. That's not the first verse of Proverbs 31. If you read Proverbs 31 verse 1, what does it say there? Solomon is saying, look, when my mother used to talk, when she would talk to me, he's called Lemuel for another reason, but he says this is when my mother would tell me, she would personally say these words to me, because his mother, just like Jews speak, we study Bible in Hebrew, but my mother would say something in Yiddish to me, and Yiddish has a little Hebrew, a little, Yiddish, and Yiddish is 85% German. So therefore, you're right, in Proverbs 31 verse 2, this was an oracle. This is what my mother would say to me, and she would speak Aramaic, which is a sister language of Hebrew, extremely close. It's like Indonesian and Malay. It's like very, very close language. It's not identical, but very, very close. And therefore, he's quoting his mother, who spoke to him in Aramaic. And therefore, yes, Proverbs 31 is in Aramaic, and therefore, bar, there, bri, means my son. That doesn't have anything to do with Psalms. The whole book of Psalms is not one word in Aramaic. Psalms is not like my mother told me, Psalms is written in Hebrew from beginning to end. Is contrasted, remember I talked to you about both? Proverbs 30 is the adulterous woman who's an Alma, and contrasting with 31. But that's a quote from his mother, who spoke to him in the lingo de franca, which means in casual talk, Aramaic was used. And he says that this is what my mother, how she would talk to me. She gave me this line. So he's quoting his mother, and his mother was using Aramaic, which was the case. Jews studied in Hebrew, but they conversationally would have conversations with their parents in Aramaic, which is a sister language, very close. It's much closer than, for instance, English and French or Spanish, which are close. They're all from Romance language, but these are much, much closer. So that is abject nonsense. Proverbs 31 actually proves the point. That's Aramaic. That's why it's translated as son, not purity. It's an Aramaic word. That's why it's translated that way. That has nothing to do with Psalm 212. There's not a single Aramaic word in the whole book of Psalms. Not only that, as I've mentioned, walk it back 5 passages, and we have a verse that's quoted in the Christian Bible. Beniato, you are my son. Why, if King David is using the word bar for son, for some crazy reason, from the whole book of Psalms, then he would have used the word bar, bri, he would have used the Aramaic in verse 7. Why did he switch to Aramaic there? So nashku bar means arm yourself with purity. Okay, now, we're not done yet. Now, the icing on the whole cake is, which people, I don't know why they miss this, is that if, let's say, I concede everything and I play the what-if game, that means let's forget everything I just said to you. Just ignore it, okay? So let's just say that we have, for some reason, pinklich right here in Aramaic, right here, a word right in the middle of everything. As it turns out, if I would translate the word bar, if I would translate in Aramaic, and let's say I just, for the sake of argument, for the sake of making the point, I'll just say, okay, let's say bar is an Aramaic word which is somehow just crept its way into Psalm 212. You've got even a bigger problem. Why? Because bar, they're saying it means kiss the son. Can I ask anybody, where is your definite article? If it really said nashku bar, and we're going to, just for the fun of it, say bar is Aramaic. Let's just do that. Bar doesn't mean the son. Bar means son. There's no definite article there. Hebrew and Aramaic have no a, meaning indefinite article. So it would mean kiss son. It doesn't even make sense. Or kiss of son. What the heck does that mean? In order to say kiss the son, you have to have nashku bra, not nashku bar. So nashku bar, even if I'm going to say it means son, that means I'm going to have a lobotomy and have my brains cut out for a moment and just have my frontal lobe surgically removed. You haven't helped yourself. Where did you get kissed with the son from? Then it becomes nonsensical. You're proving this is nonsense because nashku bar if you wouldn't even have, let's just say nashku bar, and bar means son. It means kiss son. Where's your definite article? It's gone. It disappeared. It's not there. And it's not there because it's stupidity. This is an object bogus nonsense. Nashku bar means arm yourself with purity. That's what's delicious. And don't give me Proverbs 31, you silly boy.